Uncover the hidden truths behind the pulpit, from real-life scandals to dramatized stories inspired by the Black Church. Sanctified and Scandalous explores the powerful, the painful, and the provocative moments that shake faith communities. Welcome to today's episode of Sanctified and Scandalous. Watch this thrilling story till the end. Let us know what you think.
It started like any other Sunday service. The organ hummed softly, voices rose in harmony, and the congregation swayed with emotion. Pastor Derek Jeans stood at the pulpit, tears glistening in his eyes, preaching his signature message. God favors the humble. Week after week, he implored his flock to embrace sacrifice. Live below your means, he said, so God can lift you higher in eternity. In his sermons, there was no room for wealth, indulgence, or vanity. Poverty was not only a reality, it was spiritual currency. But behind the pulpit's stained wood, and beneath the linen robes, was a story very different from the gospel he preached. What no one in the pews knew was that Pastor James wasn't living in sacrifice. He was living in luxury, and the truth was about to burst open like a dam. Paragraph 2. The seed money doctrine. From the very beginning, Pastor James had built his ministry on what many call seed faith. It's a doctrine that teaches the more you give to God, the more he will give back to you. If you sow in tares, you'll reap in joy. He'd shout as people lined up to place cash at the altar. His social media was filled with testimonials. Women who got promotions, men who overcame illness, families who got their first homes, all because they tithed faithfully. The more stories he told, the more money rolled in. Offering baskets overflowed, especially after he claimed God told him to build a city of refuge, a massive worship center, and outreach hub. The church raised over $500,000 in just 1 year for the vision. But by year 3, no land had been purchased, no foundation laid, and someone noticed. The mentioned discovery. The first red flag came from a young church videographer, Marcus, who had access to the church's Dropbox. One day, while uploading footage from a baptism service, he accidentally clicked on the wrong folder. What he found was a video titled Backyard Reveal. It showed Pastor James and his wife sipping champagne near an infinity pool, walking a marble-floored hallway, and pointing out imported Italian cabinets. This is just the beginning, the pastor chuckled, clinking glasses. Shocked, Marcus did a reverse image search and tracked down the house. It was a $2.3 million gated estate in an exclusive suburb registered not under the church, but under shell company. Marcus couldn't believe it. Was this the real city of refuge? Whispers and warnings. When the footage started circulating privately among youth leaders, reactions were mixed. Some dismissed it. He's blessed, let him be. Others were horrified. One deaconess recalled being told there wasn't enough budget for groceries for the seniors' pantry, only to now see the pastor had an outdoor cinema and koi pond. A finance team member anonymously emailed a spreadsheet to several elders. It showed irregular transfers, personal shopping from church accounts, and a $12,000 payment to a luxury watch brand. Pastor James caught wind of the murmurs and preached a sermon titled, "Don't Touch God's Anointed." That week, 3 people were removed from ministry leadership without explanation. But the silence wouldn't last. The tithe rebellion. The breaking point came one Sunday when Sister Elaine, a widow who had tithed faithfully for 15 years, stood up during offering time. "I buried my husband in a cardboard casket because I trusted this church with my last," she said, holding up a printed photo of the mansion. The sanctuary fell into stunned silence. Ushers tried to escort her out, but others joined in. Where is the community center? Why do our kids worship in a moldy basement? Why did he buy his wife a Tesla before buying chairs for the church? The service ended in chaos. That clip alone garnered over 4 million views on TikTok. The investigation begins. As the video went viral, local journalists picked up the scent. A reporter from the city's most read paper dug through property records, 501c3 filings, and court documents. What they uncovered was damning. Over $800,000 in undeclared income, a shell nonprofit funneling donations, and personal luxury expenses categorized as spiritual retreats. A former accountant confessed that she was told to round up expenses and was threatened when she asked too many questions. Members began filing complaints with the IRS and the state attorney general's office. The church board, once loyal to Pastor James, demanded a full audit, but the pastor, he went silent. The fall from grace. On a rainy Tuesday morning, federal agents raided the church office and the pastor's mansion. Computers, ledgers, and security footage were seized. Pastor James and his wife were nowhere to be found. Their last known activity was a flight to the Cayman Islands, booked under aliases. When the news hit, it shocked even the most faithful. "He was supposed to be our shepherd," one elder said, tears streaming, "but he was robbing the flock blind." News vans surrounded the church for days. Congregants wept, argued, and prayed at the altar. Some were furious, others were heartbroken, but nearly all felt betrayed. Paragraph 8. The aftermath. In the months that followed, the church nearly collapsed. Attendance dropped by 70%. Donations plummeted. The bank repossessed one of the ministry vans. Leaders resigned, but slowly, something new began to rise. A group of former members organized a restoration committee. They held open forums, shared transparent financial reports, and reopened the church pantry. A young interim pastor, chosen by vote, stepped up not with theatrics or wealth, but humility. "We may have been fooled, but we will not be broken," he said, and that message began to heal. The bigger conversation. The scandal sparked a national conversation about money, power, and spiritual manipulation. Documentaries were made. Hashtags like #TitheTruth and #ChurchAccountability trended. Former church members across the country began sharing their stories, fake healings, prosperity scams, and leaders who used God to get rich. Some called it the great unmasking of the black church's toxic underbelly. Others defended pastors, warning against throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But one thing was clear: people were done staying silent. A lesson in faith and discernment. The story of Pastor James serves as a haunting reminder. Not every shepherd feeds the sheep, some just fleece them. Faith should never require blindness, and questioning isn't rebellion, it's wisdom. As churches rebuild trust and congregations demand transparency, a new era may rise from the ashes of scandal, one where integrity matters more than image, where humility isn't staged, and where the word pastor means protector, not predator. For many, the wounds are still fresh, but in the breaking came awakening, and perhaps that's the real revelation.
Have you seen a scandal like this, where faith meets fallout? Let us know in the comments below, and kindly like, subscribe, and share to see more stories like this. Thanks, and see you the next episode of Sanctified and Scandalous.